Hey girls, I hope you're having an awesome day. I wanted to talk about pregnancy announcements. I know whenever I say that, some of you, your heart just kind of sinks in your chest and it kind of knocks the wind out of you. But I want to talk about it in a fresh way. I want you to have an open mind, and I'm just praying that the Holy Spirit will give you ears to hear, thinking about pregnancy announcements in a way that is exciting and doesn't cause pain for you. So I know it's a really hard thing, but the garden here, what we want is a culture of miracles. I mean, we are praying for whatever you're wanting, whatever you are waiting for, whatever miracle that you're waiting for. We are believing and standing in faith and praying with you that you'll receive it. Whether it's a biological baby that you grow in your belly, maybe it's a rainbow baby after miscarriage or infant loss. Maybe you're waiting on your baby through adoption, but infertility still stings and it's still hard to separate them. Whatever you're waiting for, we believe that God is doing miracles, and He has already performed so many miracles in this group. And we are waiting and believing that it's going to happen to you too, and me. And what's so exciting about this is that I want to start a testimony Tuesday. And I want someone who maybe has what we want, maybe something that we're praying for. Whoever, if they are pregnant, we want them to release their testimony over us. So I have pregnant people pray for me all the time, because in the Bible it says, in the New Testament, it says that the testimony of Jesus releases the spirit of prophecy. And what that means is, testimony in the Hebrew actually means do it again. And so the people in the Old Testament would build these Ebenezers, they would build these altars, and they would put the rocks down, and they would stand there, and they would declare, this is what God's done for us. So that everyone who passed through that place would look at that rock, would look at that altar, would look at that Ebenezer, and would see a faithful Father. And their testimony would release in these other people walking by, looking at these Ebenezers, a spirit of prophecy. And they're saying, do it again, Lord, do it again. So whenever we release our testimony, we're releasing the spirit of prophecy over the life of someone else. And we're saying to Father, do it again, Father, do it again. So the great thing about testimonies is that I have two women in my life. One I know and I'm dear friends with. One I just met several weeks ago, actually, at the Moms and Making conference. Both of these women have stories much like mine. They went through infertility for years and years and years. They felt this call to adoption. God brought home their babies, their miracle babies, through adoption. And then they just knew their story wasn't over with. They just wanted complete healing, and knew that God wanted healing for their bodies. And so they kept believing and standing in faith for a biological baby. And my friend Diana, who's actually in this group, she has two adopted children who are very close in age. And then the Father completely healed her and gave her two children biologically, who are also her miracles. And so on the really hard days, I remember her testimony, and her testimony gives me hope that He did it in her story and He's going to do it in mine. There's also this other woman that I met several weeks ago, and her story is very similar. She journeyed through infertility for years, and she finally felt God calling her to adoption. She adopted her son, and then came home and had 3 miracle pregnancies. So she has 4 children, all miracles. Each of their stories are beautiful redemption stories that the Father's written in their life. And so I walked up to her whenever I met her, and I said, I'm taking your testimony as mine, and I'm praying that what the Father's released in your life, He's going to release in mine too. And so on the days that are really hard for me, I think about their stories, and I think about how He's done it in their life. And God doesn't pick and choose favorites. He's not like that. So if He did it for her, then He can do it for me too. And so there's something powerful that happens whenever I start claiming their testimonies as mine. Because what it does is it releases hope into me, and it lets me grab a hold of their hope and hold it for myself. So whenever people are pregnant, and listen, this might be hard for you. You might be in a place where even listening to this is very hard, but I want to encourage you that it's okay where you are, but the Father doesn't want you to stay there. It took me years to get to this place when really it would have been so much easier had I gotten there overnight. Had I understood this, had I understood that their babies are their babies, and I don't want their babies. I want my baby. So whenever she announces her pregnancy on Facebook, or when she tells her gender reveal, has her gender reveal party, she's not stealing my baby from me. She's not stealing my story. That's her story. That's what the Father's written in her life. And so when we see it as something that's completely separate and different from us, that she isn't stealing my baby, she isn't stealing my promise. Her promise has been manifested in her life. And so what I can do is look at her story, and I can declare hope over mine and say, He did it in her, and He's going to do it in me. That's what testimony does. It releases the spirit of prophecy and helps us to grab onto their hope and take it as ours. So I want us to start doing that here. I want us to be a culture of miracles. I want it to be normal for people to be pregnant. I want people who have been walking through infertility for years and years to suddenly become pregnant. I want you to be taking a break from treatments, or in the middle of taking birth control, even getting ready for IVF, and you to become pregnant with a miracle. I want you to have had, 7 frozen embryo transfers, and then the 8th one, your babies stick, and you bring home those miracle babies that you've prayed for so long. And then when you get pregnant, I want us to celebrate with you, because we're not going to have hard, bitter hearts. We're going to celebrate because I have invested in your story. What we're doing is we're building a community here together of women who are walking through these journeys together. So I'm praying for your miracle just like you're praying for mine. And whenever you get pregnant, all the time that I've spent with you, all the prayers that I've prayed over you, that is an answer to my prayer. That is the harvest of my investment in your life. So when you get pregnant, I get to benefit. I get to celebrate. I get to share in the hope and restoration of your story. And whenever I get pregnant, you get to celebrate in me. You get to say, Father, you answered my prayer for praying for her to get pregnant. And you get to celebrate in the harvest in what you've sown into my story too. And so I want us to create this culture of miracles, but also a culture of celebration, so that when you see a pregnant belly in our group, you don't look at it as a place of hurt and pain, but you see it as a testimony, as an Ebenezer, as an altar of saying, you did it in her, Father, you're going to do it in me. So if you're pregnant, you keep coming to the garden. We need your pregnant belly. We need your physical altar and your Ebenezer to look at, and in the darkest moments of our stories, to look at yours and see what he did in your life and know that he's doing it in ours too. So if you're pregnant, don't stop coming, because if you stop coming, you're letting us down on the investment that you have in our stories. We've invested in you. We want you to invest in us and see our stories to the end. And we also want to be able to celebrate with you. We want to be able to look at your belly and remember the goodness and the faithfulness of our Father, knowing that what he did in your life, he's going to do in ours. So I just encourage you that if you have a testimony to share, I would love for you to email me. I would love for you to video your testimony, maybe 5 minutes max. Tell us your wait. What was it like? Tell us your story. Tell us how your promise has manifested. And then I want you to release that over the girls. And as people are releasing their testimonies, find a testimony that is one like what you're waiting on. And you take hold of that testimony, and on the really hard days, the ones that are really dark and really painful, the ones when you feel like you cannot wait any longer, you grab a hold of that testimony and you take their hope as yours, and remember what he's done in their story, he's going to do in you. I'm so excited about what God is doing here. I am so excited that he is a God of miracles, that we can get our hopes up, that I have been trying to get pregnant for 7 years, but I can still fully trust a good Father who loves me and who's constantly bringing about good in my life, who has a Kairos moment, an in due time moment, a moment for me when suddenly there will be a day when I look at a pregnancy test and it's not negative, but it's positive. Because his promises are yes and amen. And I can get my hopes up because my hope is in him. My hope is not in if I get my period this month or not. My hope is not in if this IVF transfer works, if this IUI cycle works, if this adoption placement works. My hope is not in all of those things. My hope is in him. And he is steady and sure and faithful and good to his word. And what he says, he will do. His heart for you is only good. And he only wants to write a beautiful story in your life. What the enemy has stolen from you, what he has taken, what he has stolen away from you, I am here to tell you that the Father is bringing it back. And when he restores and when he rebuilds and when he redeems, he does it so beautifully. I'm believing that for you, sister. And I'm standing in faith with you for your miracle. And I want to encourage you to take these testimonies that we're going to be sharing. Every week we're going to share a testimony in the Facebook group, but also every Sunday when we meet every month, there will be someone sharing their story with you live, a testimony, sharing their testimony over you. And so I want you to take those testimonies and don't look at them as pregnant bellies that are hard and painful, but look at them as stories of hope, one that you can grab hold onto and hold for yourself. We're so excited about all the babies that are coming. We are believing for miracles, and we know that we serve a Papa who is all about redeeming and restoring and rebuilding. And I am confident that he will heal and redeem every one of your stories, just like he's doing in mine. I love you girls so much. I can't wait to see you soon.